Is Cuba libre? After so many years and so many decades, it's 2023 and it's still not. Hey everybody, Paulie here on the Latino Slant, and I gotta tell you, I reluctantly love covering these stories of real life, real world issues that affect all Latinos. And here is a big one, celebrating, I think, over 60 years now of since the anniversary of the Cuban Revolution led by Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. There is just still a lot of controversy, a lot going on. So here's what we're gonna do. I want to remind you to subscribe to the channel, get all the benefits and all that good stuff. Alerts, you know what to do. I want to read from this article that encompasses a certain point of view on the revolution, and it's definitely going to make you guys want to comment. That's the next thing I want you to do. You're going to comment, you're going to comment, you're going to comment. We're going to engage in conversation. And then I want to connect you with a leading voice on the conservative right of things in regards to the Cuban uh, crisis and situation. I want to connect you to her Twitter page and everything that she's doing. She's got a voice and she's not alone. So it's really important to listen, to hear what is going on in this world. And we're talking about the people of Cuba, and we're talking about the Cuban regime. That is the kind of decaying legacy of Fidel Castro. So let's get right to this story from CubaNet. From revolution to nightmare. It doesn't that's it doesn't get any more direct than that. Um, what some insist on continuing to call the Cuban Revolution turned 64 this past January 1st, and it is at recording time January 2nd, 2023. It is a Monday here on the Slant. And there's an old photo there of Fidel right in the middle. This is from 1959. Well, let's get to this article. And this is written by Roberto Jesus Quiñones. An objective review of what happened in our country from 1959 to today confirms a well known phrase that ensures that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. If I use the phrase good intentions, I do so based on the existence of historical documents signed by Fidel Castro in his capacity as top leader of the 26th of July movement and also endorsed by other important opposition leaders against Fulgencio Batista. Whoever has read these documents knows that the foundations of the revolution that was just gestated and developed in the cities, the mountains, and even within the National Army itself were unequivocally democratic. By its content, the magnitude of Fidel Castro's betrayal can be measured. So that's really great. Before we go on there, I like how this person is setting up the scene here. He's giving that revolution and its good intentions the full props of what it was at that time. And its leader and his betrayal to the people of Cuba at the end of the day is such a betrayal of that revolution. So I get where and why he's kind of starting to shape his argument. It's pretty good writing. All right, let's continue. In light of the events that have occurred in Cuba for more than 6 decades, history will absolve me. Those final wordings was written by Jorge Mañach, has become the true boomerang against those who hold power and without a doubt a subversive document. That qualifier can also be applied to numerous speeches by Fidel Castro. Until the coup carried out by Batista on March 10th, 1952, Cuba was a republic with a great deal of social inequality and corruption. It continued to be so during the Batista dictatorship, but there were mechanisms to combat these evils or at least denounce them. Today, social inequality, corruption, and the existence of a real administration of justice and a rule of law, the repression of all dissident and material deficiencies due to the economic failure of the communists have reached levels never seen before in all of history from the country. When the guerrillas managed to consolidate in the Sierra Maestra and spread to the west of the country due to the repeated inability of the National Army, Fidel Castro began to capitalize on power. So, what was a revolution made up of heterogeneous forces with strong democratic roots led to a new dictatorship where those who had less political support among the people ended up imposing a doctrine whose dangers were brilliantly warned by Jose Marti, Ignacio Algarmonte, and other patriots. The triumph of the revolution was supposed to give way to the formation of a provisional government in charge of restoring democratic structures, the 1940 Constitution, and call for free and multi-party elections. But that did not happen. And in its main distortion of the political process led to the Brianze, because every revolution is directed towards an inclusive founding act, not towards the reproduction of the causes that give rise to it. In a genuine revolution, truly intended to empower the people, not to euphemistically guarantee the enthronement of a caste, the promises that gave rise to it must be fulfilled with its triumph. That did not happen. That did not happen with the Cuban either, although to be fair, with none of those that drifted towards down-top systems of government. This is great, and I want you, and I know this is a lot, but I think this is just vital for actually every American to be listening. This is actually just great world history as well, but this next sentence is pretty killer. Only the bourgeois revolutions are saved from this judgment. What a congruence in history, being a clear example of those France, England, and the United States of America. Again, only the bourgeois revolutions are saved from this judgment. The judgment that those that drifted down towards top-down systems of government, okay? Today, 64 years after that alleged brightness of January 1st, 1959, in Cuba, the same conditions exist that promoted the unleashing of that revolution. Because a revolution, in order to be successful, has to show concrete results that demonstrate the validity of its actions. And in the case of Cuba, the successes obtained in education, health, science, and sports did not arise as a consequence of development internal productive forces, but above all, because of the immense financial support it received from the former Soviet Union and the countries of the socialist camp. Fidel Castro wanted to become independent of the economic influence of the United States and ended up depending on inferior economies in terms of growth and quality of his products. What are your thoughts right now, guys? I want to know right now. Start engaging, comment, especially if you happen to be of Cuban ancestry. Do you have family members? Do you have past family members that are no longer with you but have their stories of being exiled or escaping? What are they? I want to know. Everyone wants to know. This is your casita. This is your stream. This is your channel, the Latino Slant, and just reading up on this. All right, let's continue. Okay, where were we, guys? Okay. And while we cannot speak of growing prosperity because problems such as transportation, food, and even free access to education based on personal merits were never resolved, at least one lived with a certain amount of peace, as long as you didn't interfere in politics until the disappearance of the socialist bloc. With the disappearance of that political community and Castroism persisting on the reproduction of methods of proven ineffectiveness, the supposed successes began to decline unstoppably from the so-called special period until reaching the 64th anniversary, where misery, escapism, and repression are its main features. If the rhetoric of Castroism were capable of producing satisfaction, there would be no problems. But that presumed panacea of social justice, prosperity, and democracy that the continuistas led by Bermudez talk so much about only exist in their abundant speeches in bear with me, corporal fragri, where without a minimum of shame, they publicly mock their laws and what they do, something that in a democratic country would be sufficient cause for resignation or impeachment. Paying attention, guys? Good. The process that one day was proclaimed by Fidel Castro as the revolution of the humble, by the humble and for the humble, has been responsible for self-annihilation. It does not take a foreign invasion or another revolution to prove it. He himself has been annihilated by his economic incapacity and his injustices. If a deep anti-communist thought takes hold in Cuba, it is due above all to the incapacity of those who one day told us of many dreams and ended up turning our lives into an atrocious nightmare. And on top of that, it's as if the people were stupid. They continue to praise the system. That and no other, and no other, is the reality of our homeland on this 1st of January. Wow. And there's Roberto Quinones's. I'm gonna link you guys to this to this post. Also, too, there's some really amazing other stories here during this time: censorship and exclusion, the legacy of the revolution of Cuban cinema, a dire memories of the triumph of the revolution. Check those out. I want to know, man. I mean, this is like I said, it's and it's fallen on a lot of media deaf ears, but social media has definitely kept a lot of things going, a lot of conversation happening. And I want to connect you now, like I promised, to a Cubana who's been really rocking it with her take and those of like-minded of hers. Her name is Martha Bueno. The Cuban Revolution is 64 years old today, she says. After years of misery, hunger, brutality, depression, division, deprivation of basic human rights, and all around abject failure, it's time to declare the revolution a complete and utter failure. Only freedom can save Cuba now. And she posted some photos of some barrios here in Cuba. I will have her link as well. And she also hosted a Twitter Space talk, and she recorded that audio. It's about over 2 hours long. A lot of great talk from what I heard. I heard a very little bit as right now we're recording. But if you are interested in these issues, check her out. Check them out. If you have different opinions, let me know. I have to tell you, I've come a long way around from my old days of being in the Chicano movement to where back in the day, I would wear a Che Guevara t-shirt because he was one of our quote unquote revolutionary heroes, not knowing the full picture. And historical figures always have complicated um, um, stories. That's just it. And that's just one of the things that I got to realize as I got a little older, that there was some horrific atrocities that were done to Cuban people, regular people, poor people, people who happen to be gay, people who were, Afro-Cubano. It's all there. It's all there. So I wanted to, on this anniversary, 64 years, give you a little bit of this. Again, let's get to your comments right now. Wherever you're at, make sure that you are subscribed here to the channel and keep that slant fuerte. Gracias. Viva Cuba.